Welcome to another story made by Oracle 1. In the heart of the verdant village of Eldarage, nestled between rolling hills and ancient forests, there lived a humble farmer named Alara. Her days were long and laden with toil, tending to weary soil that begrudgingly yielded its fruits. Though simple, Alara's life bore the quiet weight of hardship. Her crops had withered for seasons, and her family struggled beneath the gnawing grasp of famine and debt. Yet, despite the ceaseless trials, there was a glimmer of hope in Alara's heart, a silent yearning for a miracle to breathe life into her barren fields. One crisp autumn evening beneath a dome of velvet sky, a silver light streaked across the heavens, burning brighter than any star, tracing a shimmering arc that seemed to dance with the moon itself. The villagers, huddling beside hearths, whispered of omens and celestial gifts, but none dared venture out beneath the starlit canopy. But Alara, drawn by a force she could not name, stepped into the chill night, her breath like ghosts drifting in the frost. In the center of her field, bathed in moonlight, lay a single radiant feather. It shimmered with iridescence, hues shifting softly between pearl, lavender, and moonlight blue. Alara knelt, her fingers trembling as she reached out to touch the ethereal plume. As her skin brushed the feather, a warmth blossomed within her chest, gentle and luminous like dawn's first rays. The moonfeather, a creature of legend whispered only in bedtime stories, had found its way to her humble field. The tales told that such a feather granted wishes, but the old stories warned of shadows that followed every boon, unseen until it was too late. Driven by a tempest of desperation and hope, Alara closed her eyes and wished aloud, "I wish for a harvest like no other, a bounty to feed my village through the harshest winters." The feather glowed brighter, its light swirling like mist around her, and then in an instant, the light dissipated, leaving the air faintly perfumed with jasmine and something wild, like ancient woods after rain. The very next dawn, Alara's fields were transformed. The grain stood tall and golden, swaying under the sun as though kissed by the breath of spring itself. Flowers bloomed in vivid profusion along the bordering hedgerows. Alara's neighbors awoke to the marvel, and soon the village was alive with laughter and celebration. Baskets overflowed with abundance, hunger and want seemed banished. Alara was heralded as a blessing upon the land, the farmer touched by magic. But no gift from the moonfeather came without its shadow. That first night, Alara slipped into restless sleep, only to be awakened by a strange rustling outside her window. Peering into the moonlit field, she saw her crops quivering unnaturally, as if stirred by an invisible wind. Then, from the edge of the woods, eyes, glowing like emerald lanterns, watched her silently. A chill seeped into her bones, and beneath the corn's rustling rose a whispering that spoke in tongues old as the hills. Days passed, and Alara noticed her neighbors growing weary, their faces pale, their voices softening to murmurs. The joy of abundance was shadowed by a creeping malaise that settled across Eldarage. It was as though the life that bloomed in the fields was drained from the villagers themselves. Haunted and desperate for answers, Alara returned to the feather, now lying limp and dull in her hand. The soft glow had faded, but its magic had undeniably been wrought. She called out to the moonfeather, "Tell me, what price have I paid for this gift?" The night stretched silent as stars blinked overhead, until a voice, thin and ethereal, seemed to echo within the field itself. The moonfeather grants wishes born of the heart's deepest desire, but the shadow price demands balance. For each boon given, something cherished must be taken. Alara's heart pounded. "What is taken from my people? What is the price I must pay? You gave life to the land, and in turn, life must be seeded. The hunger of the earth is not sated by light alone. Shadows must fall to feed the growth." The voice faded like mist, leaving a heavy stillness. Determined to protect her village, Alara resolved to make her next wish wisely, to find a way to break the shadow's grip. She waited until night's full embrace and whispered a second wish. I wish for health and strength for my people, so they may endure this dark affliction. The moonfeather stirred, again, glowing faintly, and the wind seemed to sigh in the trees. In days that followed, there was a noticeable change. Villagers regained vigor. The sickness ebbed like morning fog, replaced by newfound strength and vitality. Yet, soon, another shadow crept in, a cold in the marrow, a blanket of gloom blanketing the skies, with crops now blackening and dying under an unnatural frost. The village was caught in a vicious cycle. The more Alara wished for her people, the more the natural world around them withered. It became clear the moonfeather's bargain was ruthless, exacting from the earth's essence to fill the voids left in the lives it touched. Haunted by the suffering, Alara sought the counsel of the village elder, Ailys, who was said to know the old magics and ancient pacts. Ailys listened, eyes deep as well-worn scrolls, and nodded gravely. The moonfeather's magic is not evil, but it is ancient and impartial. It is the breath of the moon's spirit, wrought from celestial cycles that govern both light and shadow, life and death. To use its power without understanding is to invite imbalance. Toppled by the weight of this revelation, Alara refused to allow her village to perish under the double curse of famine and ill fate. Together with Ailys, she plunged into the lore of Eldarage, exploring myths of the silver hawk, a sacred moonbird whose feathers were said to hold the balance of day and night. From ancient tomes and whispered memories, they learned that the moonfeather could indeed grant wishes, but to truly break the cycle, one must return the feather to its source beneath the light of the full moon and make a sacrifice of equal measure. Not in sorrow, but in love and hope, an offering to restore balance. Alara knew what she must do. As the next full moon rose molten and magnificent above the crags of Eldarage, Alara made her journey into the heart of the forest, moonfeather clasped tightly in her palm. The woods whispered secrets and shadows shifted, but she moved steadfast and resolute, guided by the ancient call of the silver hawk. At the clearing where moonlight pooled like liquid silver, Alara raised the moonfeather to the sky. Her voice trembled as she spoke the final wish. Take back your gift, and I offer my most precious treasure. The memories of my family's laughter, the warmth of our hearth, the dreams stitched between these fields. Let the shadow left behind be replaced with the promise of life, balanced and whole. The feather shimmered brilliant white, and from it emerged the spectral form of the moonbird, wings vast and bathed in lunar light, eyes pools of starlit wisdom. The bird's voice touched Alara's mind like a gentle melody. Your love is the true magic, the light that dispels shadow. Balance is born of sacrifice and hope. You have given more than you wished. You have offered the soul of your heart. The earth and people of Eldarage shall heal. With a final radiant pulse, the feather dissolved into moonbeams that scattered across the night sky, and the silverhawk vanished with a cry that echoed eternal wisdom. Alara returned home to find the village transformed. The fields bore fruits once more, but now with a gentle resilience, the crop cycle turning as nature intended. The villagers, freed from the shadow's grip, moved with a quiet joy and strength. The laughter she sacrificed returned anew from the bonds woven between them, stronger than before. In the years that followed, Eldarage flourished, not by magic alone but by the harmony between human will, love, and nature's rhythms. And though the moonfeather was never seen again, Alara guarded the story and passed down its truth, reminding all that every gift comes with a price, but the true power lies in the heart's capacity to balance light and shadow through courage and love. For more stories, like and subscribe.